What's up, Shane? Take it away, dude.
Hey, we appreciate all the conversations we've been having with people that are reaching out to both Eric and myself about the few episodes we put out when we first started this whole thing, and it's definitely picked up some steam that we didn't expect
For sure.
and seems to be helping. And as we said, I think in one of our earlier episodes, if it helps just one person, it's good for us. I mean, we're doing it very much for ourselves too.
Heck yeah.
There's a lot of reward for both of us, I think, in this. So as we talked about off the podcast, you and I just having discussions, I think it's important to address some of the conversations we've both had with people about questions that come up on like, well, how do you do these things? How do you deal with the daily struggles? What is it like and all that? And it's that's a big, broad subject.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't have a magic pill. It doesn't have if you do this, everything will be great.
Yeah.
I've used the analogy in past podcasts about, adjusting the sails. You're on course. Your course is going to be constantly, moved around by the wind, the swells, the waves, everything. Mm-hmm. And you have to constantly be steering your boat to pay attention to keep it on the correct course. So life is the same way, where every day is going to present its own set of challenges, obstacles, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure.
So as we have the discussions, when we pick a topic, right, we're not experts on any of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely no doctor, therapist, no nothing, just straight up experience.
Yeah.
And our own personal things that help us.
And I think through our progression through this, that's the idea, is to share our own experiences with it, so that some of the conversations I've had, I think it's the same for you, is like people said, it's nice to not feel alone.
Yes.
I hear what you're saying, and man, I've had the same scenarios. And this is from men and women. This isn't just firemen. It's families too. It's wives, it's friends, it's girlfriends, it's husbands, it's wives. So it's the whole gamut, right? Like we're humans. We're all humans.
Exactly.
So I thought, it would be great for us to just do a discussion on, both of us in the aftermath of our own individual challenges and the recognition of, something's going on. What do I do here?
Yeah.
We were the fireman brain that said there must be a magic pill. There must be a 10-step process. Once we do it, we'll have it dialed. We'll have our acronym, and we'll be solid.
Yeah, I have our acronym for sure.
Right? And it got hit in the face pretty hard. Like, nope, that's not how it works.
Yep.
So welcome to an infinite problem that never ends. Like every day, emotions go up and down.
Yep.
Life throws challenges. You lose people in your life. New people come in your life. Mm-hmm. Your kids do stupid shit that impacts you. You name it. Pick your challenge. Whatever. The world we live in, the constant noise of trying to divide everybody at all times.
Yep.
It's just there's so much exterior noise at all times. So, what are we doing daily? You, me. So to answer the question of these people, like, what do you do? Well, we don't know what you do.
Yeah, but we know that. Well, we do.
We know.
And sometimes what we do changes daily.
Yes, exactly.
And going back to what you were saying with just the noise, man, and specifically where we're at, to answer what to, this is going to go for a little bit, but when you're at work, you're at a restaurant, go to a daily struggle, okay? I think at the crux, a lot of this is your attention span and what you're focusing on. Where do you want to be? Why do you want to be there? What are your thoughts, right? How many times do you go into a restaurant, you're driving on the road, you're in the fire station, and are people really paying attention? How many people actually look you in the eyes right now when you talk? They're on their freaking phone, right? Or they're looking around 20 different places. They're not paying attention, whether you're a fireman or not, right? So it's like, what do you do? One thing I really try to do is, first of all, get my mind set into the right place of being present. And if it's even like with us right now doing this podcast, I try not to look at my phone no matter what. If I'm with someone, because that'll now slow your brain down, focus your brain on where you're currently at. And your brain's going to go 20 different ways, 100 different ways, whatever you want to call it. And with social media right now, the noise of we're going to talk about the daily routine. I don't really believe in routines. I know we've talked about this because life is an ebb and flow. We're constantly having to move and change our sail, the wind, and whatnot. But I think it's good to have some type of routine, just like when we're a fireman, we go back to our training because we're waking up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning and we're tired. We're going to go back to how we're trained. So when I think of routines, when I think of focus, it's like I want to give my brain something to focus on. We'll get into that. But slow it down, put the phone down, be present. And with all this, here we are doing a podcast, and we're giving information out on social media again, like, who the hell are we, right? But we're giving our personal examples of what we want to do. So it's like, I've noticed our attention span with the phone, that can be one of the first things you could do is just put that away. Yeah. Put that away. And there's
how about like right when you wake up? I mean, do you grab your phone? Do you scroll the news? Do you scroll your emails?
No.
Do you look at Facebook, Instagram,
Hell no.
all that bullshit?
No more. My first hour, dude. My first hour. It takes time because you're detoxing. You are legit detoxing your brain, dude, of like, I'm not going to do that. Because our attention span, once again, you look at social media, 3 to 5 seconds, your brain wants to, what's the new thing? What's the new thing? What's the new thing? What's the freaking new thing? It's like, stop, and as fast as I'm talking right now, that's what your brain's doing without you even talking, without you realizing it's what's the next thing. It's what's the next thing. It's what's the next thing. That's how they market us. That's how they program us. That's how everything on the TV, everything on our phone. So we have to control that. So how do I do that? Mine will start the night before. Okay, so I'm not saying everyone's going to do that, but I know that works for me. I will write things down that I need to do the next morning, the next day, or whatever my intention is for the next day. So I prepare my brain the night before, without getting into detail with your conscience, your subconscious, and everything. Your subconscious knows everything you're stinking doing every second of the day. Okay, so I'm trying to hack that as best as I can. Because if I have it focus on different things, it's gonna wander. And so I'll be like, okay, you know what? My first hour, I'm gonna do meditation. I'm gonna do journaling. I'm gonna do a prayer. I'm gonna read a Bible verse. I'm just gonna wake up with gratitude. I'm gonna get a drink of water. I'm gonna, maybe just go do 5 push-ups real quick, 10 push-ups to get some blood flow. And that changes depending on where my brain is in the morning. But one thing for sure for me, I do no matter what, not every morning do I do the push-ups. Do I do a 20, 30-minute meditation? The thing that will change, I'm not a doctor, I'm none of that, but one thing that I will bet so much, wake up with gratitude every morning. When I wake up, I will wake up and I will force myself to smile. When we wake up, most of the time, I got to do this today. I got to do that today. You're living in the past, or you're living in the future. Yeah. So right when you wake up, you're not even, the majority of the time, I'm not saying everybody, but I know that's how I was. So I'm only talking about my experience. I will get up, if you got to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, whatever. And I will look myself in the mirror. There's a thing called affirmations. If you don't believe who you are, you're not going to believe any crap you tell yourself. Oh, I'm so great. I'm so this. I'm so that. If you don't really truly believe that, you're lying to yourself. Okay. But what I will tell myself is, first of all, before I got out of the bed, I'll be like, wow, I woke up. Thank you. I had an awesome, wherever I'm at, I woke up today. To me, life is a gift. How can I inspire others today? How can I help? How can I help myself? How can I help others? Thank you so much for whatever you can be thankful for. There is something for the people out there. Well, it must be nice you have a bed, or it must be nice you have this. I don't have that, or my family's breaking apart. This just happened. Okay, well, you're in that negative mindset. Okay, you have to somehow figure we all have something to be grateful for. And if you start your day with gratitude, I promise you, it will be that much better. Your brain's going to try to put you back into some negative, whatever, pessimistic. Today's going to be busy. My wife this, my kids that, this captain this fireman that, this, or this job that, or this task this. And we're going to start going a ton of different ways. We have to control that. Those things are still going to get done. But hey, we get to do those things. We get to get up. We get to go have a productive day. We get to go help people. When you talk to yourself in that way, that's like my first hour of me getting up, and those things can change, but one thing that never changes is I will drink water right away, right when I get up, and I will start my morning with gratitude. That's the simplest. There's a lot more, but what about you? Like, what's one thing?
No, that's good. Yeah, that's great.
You know, that you kind of, or that you do.
Yeah, see, I'm fucking terrible. Every morning, I tend to reach over and grab my phone. I tend to look at, you know, a quick scroll through, like, what's the weather going to be? You know, a quick look on my calendar just to remind my stupid self if I had an appointment. I don't spend a ton of time doing it. I'll just like lay there in bed and scroll for hours. I rarely get on social media.
Yeah.
So that I don't have that addiction, fortunately.
Yeah.
I've actually tried in the months since my stay at the center to read the news less. I used to frequently, you know, scroll through just news online, just see what's going on in the world. Wasn't, you know, I don't follow one particular thing or another, just kind of random world news. Like, we know right now the wildfires are going in Maui, let's say. So I've been interested in that just because it's like such a terrible scene over there. And, you know, but yeah, man, I have a hard time with that in the morning. So it's like, and especially with work, you know, I'm on daylights now as a training officer. So, you know, I get up most mornings now. I've been trying to get up about 6, jump in the sauna. So what I've been doing is I'll come downstairs, some silence. I don't turn the TV on. I try not to over scroll or play at the phone.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something. I like the setting the intention for the gratitude. I think I might try to implement that because I always, whenever I do a mindful thought process or meditation in the sauna and I use gratitude as kind of the focal point, I notice a difference the rest of the day. Yeah. So I think that's a great recommendation to people because it's so simple.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to go to the gym, you don't have to eat healthy, this literally, like, dude, just freaking be thankful in the morning, and that's not difficult no matter where you are. So
it's not difficult, but it is.
Well, right. I mean, it's just what I mean is it's not insurmountable. Some people see things as like a difficult challenge. It's like, no, if you just do it and you start to think that way, like, over time you'll build the habit, right? So no, I think that's a great way. And I haven't been great about setting intentions the night before.
Yeah. That all takes time, dude. That's not, I mean, it's easy, but sometimes the easiest things are the hardest things. Yeah. Because we're creatures of habit. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I gotta do that. Like, yeah, dude, there's a lot of things. And I use an hour as an example. That's what I do. I did not start in an hour, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't pick up my phone now.
Well, did you do an hour this morning, like when you woke up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. It was about 45 minutes.
Yeah. So give or take. I mean, that's the thing too. Like, you know, I think it's sometimes when we're talking, it sounds like both of us have all this figured out. Like,
no.
Part of the discussion that I want to have in this hour that we're talking is like, dude, I have shitty sauna sessions.
Yes.
I can't meditate.
Yeah.
We're going to the deprivation tank today, right? We're gonna do our floats. Way cool. The last one I did felt like, I don't remember, 5 minutes. The one I did before that felt like 5 hours.
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, is this ever going to end?
Yeah.
And I was chastising myself because my thoughts were drifting off. And it's like, you know, that's the whole give yourself grace, understand that's okay, blah, blah, blah. You know, so when people ask me questions like, well, how do you do that? It's like, every day it's trying.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't always succeed.
Yeah.
You know, I have bad days. So like, you know, that's what, I mean, I think when you're talking, right? So 45 this morning, cool. Like, your goal is an hour. Don't beat yourself up. It's not so rigid that, because you can't always do an hour.
No.
You know,
things happen, dude.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Or even if you're in a scenario where you go someplace, right?
Yep.
Like, and you're doing something, it doesn't always fit into, I mean, you're not always going to have a sauna available to you. You're not always going to have something like that, right?
Yeah.
But the simple setting of intentions the night before, the waking up, forcing yourself to smile, which is really funny because I can't imagine you forcing yourself to smile.
Okay, dude.
You're always fucking smiling.
No. And, you know, man, and the reason I say force yourself to smile, you know, I don't want to get, you know, there's so many studies out there on that actual technique right there they've done to where if you wake up with just a sad face, but you're like, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to force yourself to smile. It is scientifically proven that will help you be more positive, have more intention, because you are creating. I love this stuff now, dude. I never thought I would. I'm like, I'm not going to force myself to smile. What the freak is this crap? No, dude. Hell no. That's stupid, man. That was my mindset, you know, but it works and it's proven. It's science. You guys can research it. I don't need to go on the whole spiel of forcing yourself to smile, but
No, but it's good.
it's setting your intention, because what you're doing is you're setting yourself for a successful, even if it's not the day, it can be an hour. It can be a conversation. It can be whatever. It can be done throughout the day. What you're doing is you're taking accountability for yourself and setting intention for yourself to make sure you are doing the right thing to get to whatever the goal is you need to be, whatever that is. Everyone has different goals. But one thing that you can do every morning is thankfulness, gratitude. If you have a minute, okay, to take it a step farther, getting it out of your head onto a piece of paper, write through 3 or 5 things. Maybe you don't open your phone. Maybe you go straight, you open your phone, but you don't scroll. Set your intention for, okay, I'm going to go into my notes app. You might open your phone, but typically what do you do when you open your phone? Oh, I'm going to check my email. Oh, I'm going to check this. Now that 5 minutes goes to 20 minutes. That 20 minutes goes to whatever it might be. So it's setting your intention, giving yourself a clear focus of, you know what? I don't want to go on an iPad. I don't really like to write. Figure out what works for you. Okay, I'm going to, be grateful for these things. Go into your notes app on your phone. I'm grateful I got a good night's sleep. I'm grateful, I can call this person. I'm grateful I've got my legs today. I'm grateful I can taste today. I'm grateful that it's a sunny day. Whatever the heck it is, the purpose is just show some gratitude, whatever you're going through. And there's plenty of people that could have it worse than the majority of us, I feel. And those are some of the most awesome, most inspiring people that are quadriplegics, that have gone through the gnarliest things, that are burn victims. And they're some of the happiest people because they've had to refocus on the simple things that matter. That makes sense?
Absolutely. No, that's kind of what we're trying to get across when people ask us these questions. It's like you just gave people a very good roadmap on how to set an intention, whether it's the night before or the morning of, and what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because what you just, you gave right off the top of your head 5 examples of gratitude, and that is something that, you have your legs. Of course, somebody can talk shit, sure.
Yeah.
But the neuroscience behind what you're doing is what you're getting at.
Exactly.
And the resulting, positivity that you will then feel, that's undeniable. Yeah. So I think that's important. So when people ask us, what can we do, set yourself a measurable, simple, reasonable goal like that of starting off with, my morning's going to start with gratitude. I'm going to be thankful. I'm going to pray if you're a person that prays. Whatever your choice is.
Yes, exactly.
And then when you don't always get there, forgive yourself.
Exactly.
Shoot for tomorrow. Do better. And that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Because every day is going to have those challenges. So there is it's the infinite problem. It's never going to end. There's no finish line on any of this stuff. And it sucks when you look at it in a negative way. But if you accept it and you realize that, like, hey, you are kind of the master of your own fate. Like,
yes,
truly. You can realize that, like, as these obstacles come up, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
You're going to feel pain. You're going to feel disappointment. You're going to feel tired. You're going to have shitty days. You're going to be in a funk. Whatever it looks like for you. But, you go back to these things that you build up for yourself that are your outlets, that are your ability to journal things out, to use notes, to write on a piece of paper, to draw a picture, paint a picture, something that you would never even in a million years thought you would like doing. For me in the last few months was picking up woodworking jobs and just like around the house, putzing around, building a little table, building a little barbecue cart, building this media wall. Something I never thought I would do, and it occupied my time. It was something new. It was challenging. As I progressed through it, it became fun.
Yeah.
But as we were just discussing before we started, I had to throttle back a few times because I have a tendency to go so all in. Like imagine a firefighter going all in on something. I would work all day long. I'd get up, I'd have a single cup of coffee, and I'd be swinging the hammer and building this stuff. And it's 9:00 at night. I haven't eaten.
Yep.
I mean, all day.
Yeah.
I maybe a little bit of water, but I'm just, I gotta get this done. I'm just so immersed in it, and it's like it's cool to have that kind of dedication to something. But when you're not paying attention to these other things, it's like, it goes back to like, well, now you're just kind of like occupying time. You're not being present. So it was in and of itself, even though I'm doing good, I'm feeling solid, I'm being healthy, it's all that stuff. I had to look at that and be like, okay, this needs to be back in balance.
Yeah.
And bring that pendulum back. So, daily struggle, man. It's all the time. You're going to have those challenges.
So, that's awesome because, you talked about pain, happy, suck, sadness. Without pain, could you ever be happy? What do you
Say
think?
that again.
Without pain, do you think you'd ever feel happy?
Yeah, I mean, it's
right?
the yin yang. I mean,
of
no
course,
matter what,
right?
Yeah, without light, you can't have dark.
Of course.
Yep.
Right? And so it's like, I think there's this thing of, I just always want to be happy. I don't want any challenges. I want everything to work out. It's like, no, dude. No. That's what we're talking about. The daily struggles. How do you overcome that? Struggles are good.
Correct. Challenge
is good. Stress is good. If you're not having that stuff, you're not growing as a person. You're not growing as a maybe family member in your job, whatever. So instead of looking at these things that life will throw at us, the daily challenges, maybe it's, through PTSI, maybe it's PTSD, maybe it's, a workmate, on the job, maybe it's whatever it might be. That's our time to level up and then be like, okay, well, I'm going to look at this as a challenge and how can I overcome this? And when you look at it in that light versus like, oh, this is, it's going to suck sometimes. But when you talk to yourself in a way of, it's funny you said, man, you force yourself to smile. I think I come off pretty well, like this happy-go-lucky guy, but deep down there's these things of like, there's a lot of struggles. I force myself to do this. I'm not faking it. It's who I want to be, right? But a lot of us can come off as, oh, he's just always happy. Not that big of a deal. He's always smiling. It's like, well, I do it on purpose. I do. Because there's plenty of times, and there's people that know me, without naming names, it's, dude, sometimes you're just a little too negative, but you see me as, oh, you have to force a smile? Yeah, I do, because I don't want to hear you're negative, So that's just a real struggle that I have to deal with. That's a daily struggle, as we're talking about. I'm not always positive. I talk about positivity. I talk about forcing a smile. I talk about, gratitude. It's not easy to be grateful all the time. It's not. I want to wake up, I don't want to be grateful today. I don't want to meditate today. I don't want to journal today. I don't want to take a cold shower again. I don't want to do something uncomfortable today again. That's what we freaking do. That's how we progress. When you don't want to do it, you go even harder. Those are the times, when you go to the gym, or if we go to the gym, I don't want to work out today. I don't want to have that healthy meal. Do it hard. Do it even, dig in deeper. At work, you don't want to train. Training. We're going to train a little harder today. I'm not saying you're going to not take care of your crew, but you get the purpose. You get the point.
No, it's being ruled by fear, right?
Yeah.
So it's looking at adversity as a friend instead of an enemy.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that allows you to progress and get better as a human being.
Yeah.
Because you no longer seek the comfort of the routine that's the same every day, never changes, because it's the bubble.
It's the known.
Feels good. It's the known.
Yep.
You talked about people looking each other in the eyes these days, and when you're driving on the road, just take a peek around at everybody in their cars. How many people are on their phones, right?
Yeah.
So we've defined that before. I mean, that's anxiety.
Yeah.
That's literally not being able to be in the present, in this moment, and just and I mean that's a daily struggle for me.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting there behind the lady in the line to get a cup of coffee. I was just up in Mammoth. We just hiked 30 miles, and I went to some little coffee shop to get a coffee, and the barista guy that was there, he was talking to this lady, and then he starts giving her directions on the best route to take back to whatever state she's from, and then he's asking her,
Yeah.
and I just sat there, and it was an opportunity to not be like, I just want a fucking cup of coffee, like, tell your life story, but it was still there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in me to be like, hey,
let's
chop,
go.
chop, let's
Yeah.
go.
I got stuff to do.
I got, I'm already going to pay $3 for this overpriced cup of coffee. Can you just I'll pour it myself. How about that? I had all those feelings because I'm like, lady, nobody cares about your life story. No, and it was just in that moment where I'm like, dude, where am I going? I'm in Mammoth. Like, I'm getting an afternoon cup of coffee. I'm just putzing around in a little village there. Like, dude, just sit here. It's fine if she takes 5 more minutes and tells the rest of her life story to this guy. Like, where am I going? Like, what's the hurry? And it was an opportunity to train myself, and it's stupid, but it's, when I say stupid, it's like, it seems inconsequential, but it's not, because those small things add up. And that's how, like, I know I'm still cruising on the right path for the most part. Every day I stumble. Every day I have those types of moments where I'm just like, I have no patience. I want to say something. That old gremlin wants to, rise up and, freak out or whatever happens. And it's funny because it's just like, it's so interesting to me now to catch those things as they arise. I've said it before about one of the guys that I did a lot of the work with at the Center of Excellence. He came up with a great way of, because all of this comes down to the thoughts, right? It comes down to, we say controlling your thoughts. You can't really control it, but what you can do is recognize it. And then it's your choice on, do you respond or do you react? Can you dismiss it? Can you change it? So this guy said, catch it, check it, change it. And that's been kind of a little, typical fireman. I need the little acronym or, mnemonic. So for me, it's been good because, like, in that moment, I caught that thought, like, dude, what? I actually smiled. So back to your smiling positivity. And I'm not Mr. Smiley, you know that. But I grinned, my little smirk behind this lady. And I thought, what the hell's your rush, knucklehead? Like, so I grinned. She finished up. I stepped up, and he was as nice as could be to me. Same thing, he wants to know my life story. And oh my gosh, can't believe I just hiked into Mammoth 30 miles over the sea. And it's just like, great. Can I just get my coffee?
But and what you could have done too, dude? Take it even a step farther. And I've tried this. We're talking about the daily struggles or the daily, whatever you want to call it, gratitude also. And what you could have done is bought, the next person, hey, you know what? Here's an extra $5-10. Whoever buys coffee after me, now even take it off you again.
Yeah, just pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
That will take care of so much. And those are those daily things you do. Yeah. If you're driving through the drive-thru, you're super annoyed because that stinking car ordered 10 drinks and there you see it go back and forth. Oh, that's not the right thing. Like, oh my gosh, I just, you know what? Hey, right?
No, it's never happened to me.
Yeah, right? You're like, oh my gosh,
I've
right?
never ripped the steering wheel off the column because, because the person finally gets to the menu.
Yeah.
And it's like, you see him slouch. As soon as I see the slouch on the door, when the arm hangs and the head sort of hangs over the side, I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go.
Yep.
It's like, how many times have you been here? Like, you don't know what you want, and then you just see him and they're like, oh, what's in this? What's in that? And I'm like, oh, my God. Dude. So, yeah. No, I get it. It's...
And because what I try to do now, I didn't used to do this, but this is in the past few years. It's a struggle. I don't do it every time. But when I start seeing myself go down there, I try to overpower that with, you know what? I'm going to buy the person behind me something. I'm going to throw an extra $5. I got their drinks, or if I'm in line with something, hey, here's an extra $5 or $2, whatever it is. The purpose is just you're trying to refocus your thoughts. That's the purpose. Like you said, you can't control your thoughts, but you can control what you focus on. That will take you then around to try to help your thoughts be better, whatever the frick, whatever you can do there.
Have you ever been the recipient of that? Have you ever pulled up to the window and the person at the Starbucks or whatever hands you and says, hey, it was already paid for by the car that just left? Yeah, so it's a cool feeling, right? You're like, oh, right on, that's cool.
Then you just do it again.
Yeah, so it's funny, though. I laughed earlier because I was thinking about how I used to look at that, right? Like, oh, yeah, you're an asshole, and you're just buying your way out of being an asshole. Like, that's your little chicken shit way of, like, because you're in your nice car, you're buying your $5 or $6 cup of coffee that is ridiculously overpriced and oversugared and everything else. Yeah. And, you know what I mean? It's almost like the old joke with, like, sinners that go confess and it wipes the slate clean kind of thing. And it's funny. I just had a really negative outlook on that. Like, I wasn't somebody... It's not that I didn't appreciate when somebody did that, but I just, because of the cynicism that had built up in me over the years of seeing the worst of people in the fire service, I just automatically would be like, fuck, yeah, they're just doing that because they're probably just a piece of shit,
no, for sure. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
No, and honestly, like, I mean, I was on a fire, I'll just put it that way, that was in a fairly affluent part of the world. And there was 25 of us at a steakhouse. And we'd been on the line for 2 weeks. So we went, like, hey, we're going to go have like a nice gentleman's meal. We're going to have steak. We're going to have baked potato. Obviously, we couldn't have drinks because we're on duty, but we were in a hotel.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, not over here in this coast. Apparently in other places it happens. We went to the steakhouse, and the long story short, some lady paid for the entire strike team's meal. I mean, it had to have been $2,000.
Dude, that always feels awkward though, dude.
It did. It totally did. But so this was the beauty. I love this lady because she walked up to the table. She announced she paid for it. Okay. And she goes, I love you guys. You're awesome. Thank you for what you do. And I literally said, I was like, ma'am, you don't have to do this. And she looked at me. She's like, did I ask you? She's like, all you have to do is say thank you. She goes, I'm fortunate. Okay. And I want to share it. And you guys earned it. And I hope you had everything you wanted. And I don't need a thank you. I don't need anything. I just need you guys to enjoy your meal and be safe out there. And she goes, all I want's a picture. You know, she's an older lady, really cool. And she was like, just want a picture with you, fine gentlemen, or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was cool because I was just like, you know, right on. That's cool. Like, that's somebody that just, like, she wasn't buying any sort of, paying it forward or anything like that. Like, she just literally in that moment, she's like, hey, man, she's got a ton of dough.
Yeah.
And $2,000's probably nothing to her.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been more than that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's every one of us felt like, oh, my God, I had steak and lobster. I was going to pay my own $50 ticket or whatever it was going to be. And then that was just a cool one, though, you know? Like, so it's not like I've always felt that. I've had some cool experiences like that.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, that's a cool thing to do for somebody. I think you said it, but it's important, right? It's like, why are you doing it?
Yes. What's the intention? What's your mindset for it?
Is it genuine?
Yes.
And I think that's the difference. Like, I believe you when you say that you do it not to absolve yourself from something that you've done wrong, but to actually say, like, hey, I want to feel good. I want the next person to feel good. You've been the recipient of it. Like, I do like that as an idea.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Yeah, and it's just an idea, like you said. It's an idea, and I know sometimes when I get in my own head, because it is. Sometimes you get in your own head, there's a struggle, and so what I try to do is take it off of me and help somebody else. That's my intention. Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's holding a door for someone. Maybe it's looking at someone in their eyes, or as you're opening the door, they say thank you or whatever. Open doors. The simple thing of opening a door for somebody, or it's just showing graciousness, man. That's the intention. It's just trying to pay attention to our surroundings, because that will slow you down enough. So I was at Vaughn's shopping the other day, and I was walking out, and I didn't think about this. It was just kind of who I am, and I smiled at this older gentleman, and he was, he had like a wheelchair. And so he comes out, and I'm like, you need any help? He's like, I'm good. And I just gave him a big smile. I hope you have a great evening, sir. And he just looked at me, and then I walked out, I put the card away, and he comes out. He goes, you know what, man? He goes, I really want to thank you for that smile. He goes, and you looked at me in the eyes. And he goes, we're losing that. He goes, we're losing. He goes, thank you. He goes, you just made my night. And I'm just That's awesome. From a smile in my eyes, the simple things we lose, dude. We get so stinking busy with life, which is fine, whatever. It's all good. Get things done. Be goal-oriented. Do your stuff, right? But it's like, if we would all just take a step back and slow down, a lot of those struggles may not be as, yes, sometimes they're big. And you got this podcast, there's a lot of things we got to deal with. But the majority of the time, we can come up with better solutions. We can calm our brain down if we slow down. And you know what? I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to show graciousness to myself, to somebody else, to whatever. I'm going to give someone a smile. I'm going to hold the door for someone. I'm going to, whatever it is, but the purpose is try to stop thinking about ourselves so much and our problems, help somebody else. It's not going to get rid of our problems all the time because we still have to deal with them, but it will clear our brain a lot, take it off ourselves, help somebody else, and that can open a conversation. And you can see, you realize, wow, maybe my issues aren't as big as I'm making them, because this person just unloaded on me, and wow, you know what? I'm doing okay. That might happen too. That's happened to me. And you're like, wow, I was so in my head. I was so negative today. I'm even though you woke up with the gratitude, you did your journaling, that doesn't mean you're going to have the super successful day and it's all stinking flowers and roses and you're great. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because life is life. You're still going to have to get through all that stuff, right? But anyways, the purpose is just, you're working on it, you're trying, you're putting in that effort to retrain your brain, to rewire your brain, to then get in those neural pathways, to then focus on the things that are going to help you the most. And only you truly know what those struggles are. We can be telling you all these things, but meditation might not be your thing. It might be journaling. Journaling might not be a thing. It might be meditation. And we can get into different ways of how we get another podcast of like how we journal, how to start your journaling, how long it should be, how long it shouldn't be, how to meditate, what to focus on, how long to focus on. There's a lot of things we can get on, into on that. But, I think even before all of that, it's gratitude and getting your mind set to get into those different tasks that can help you better individually.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think like when we talk about the daily struggles and just, when people ask the questions to you and to me, like, oh, what are you doing and how do you do these things? It's like, you just said meditation, and it's funny because like the last few weeks, I haven't been very good at meditation. Like I have not been able to meditate.
Yeah.
And I've been really.
Why though?
I don't know. I haven't put a finger on it yet. I don't know. It's not. I'm not like overly concerned about it. I'm not. I don't know if it was going with the conjunction of just there's been a lot going on at home where I was home for a few months and then now I'm back at work and. Just kind of getting back into a rhythm, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't really know, to be honest with you. It's weird. I don't feel like, you were telling that story about the smiling at the guy at the grocery store and made me think of the people we just saw in the golf cart, like when we were out driving.
Yeah.
I would not have had that conversation 6 months ago.
Yeah.
The people that asked us those questions about my cart,
Yeah.
I would have been like, yeah.
Yeah.
I got shit to do. I don't even talk to you about a golf cart.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would have been the asshole, of course. But, to sit there and talk to that old couple for, I don't know, what were we there? 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Yeah, a few minutes.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like.
They were stoked.
They were nice people. And I'm sure maybe they drove away, oh, those two young men, that was nice that they actually looked us in the eyes and spoke, with respect and everything, of course. So, I know I'm still doing good and everything, but I've noticed too, like, I had probably like 3 weeks ago, I just had a shitty week where I couldn't focus. I couldn't. My sleep was still good, but my sauna sessions sucked.
Yeah.
I wasn't mindful when I was doing those sauna sessions. I was checking the box. I could feel it. I was checking the box.
That's good. You felt it and you realized it.
Right.
That's key though, dude.
Yeah. But I'm sharing because this is important that people understand that, like, if you're somebody who, let's say somebody resonates with what we're saying, and they start to do some of the things you're suggesting or I'm suggesting, and they're like, oh, I can't do those things. Like, well, neither can we. We're not always, like, every day is a struggle. Like, every day. And it's not this, like, horrible, oh, my God, I can't do anything right. It's just, like, your plans don't always shake out.
Yeah, exactly.
So you set your intention.
Yes.
I imagine you don't meet all your intentions every time.
No.
And that's okay. That's the idea behind it. It's like, you have to realize that you can't predict the future.
Yeah.
So the anxiety thing of constantly worrying about controlling the outcome of everything that's going to happen, but you can control if you smile. You can control if you're nice to a person in line, if you carry some old person's groceries. I mean, all your examples that you gave are great.
And that goes into your intention, dude, right? Like you said, you can't control everything because your anxiety, that's a part of your intention. As you're setting your intention for the day, I know today's going to have challenges. I can't control everything, but hey, when these challenges come up, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to reevaluate and try to come up with a solution, or maybe just let it be. That's an intention.
Yeah, you're going to respond. You're not going to react.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and that's what I mean, though. But you won't always meet every single one of your goals.
Exactly.
That were your intentions.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you're a failure.
No, not at all.
Just because I'm not having great sauna sessions doesn't mean that they're not beneficial to my body.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what I'm getting at. Is but mentally I still have to overcome that because I'm ingrained with, like, you're a failure.
Yes.
If, like, today I did 35 minutes, but it wasn't as hot as I normally do it at.
Yeah.
I think I finished it and it was 165. Normally I'm at 175, and I actually thought this morning, I'll probably do 45 minutes. Well, I was getting smoked at 135, at 35 minutes. I was like, all right, I'm hot. It's time to jump in the pool.
Yeah.
And, I could have pushed myself through for 10 more minutes and like, yeah, I can do this, Goggins it out, I'm a bitch, I'm whatever.
Yo, I was talking.
But it's like,
we love you, dude.
Yeah. No, but it's, 35 minutes in, I'm like,
but yeah, man.
I'm like, dude, I feel good. I'm solid. It is what it is. So, but it's a daily thing. And you got to pay attention to it, because you've had it too. We talked about it, like people who have talked to us about things like, well, when these things happen, how do you deal with them, right? Mm-hmm. So take this all a step further. So we've given the basic examples and good ones of setting intentions, gratefulness, just being mindful during the day. But now let's get more into like when serious shit happens, right? So you get blindsided, something tragic happens, somebody in your life gets sick, somebody in your life dies, something at work happens that is going on, your money problems, because like you said, and it's great, like not everybody can buy a $5 cup of coffee for everybody else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we get that, and so how do the big swings of life that come in and out, right? How do we prevent relapse, essentially? Because relapse is a word that is usually associated to substance abuse.
Yeah.
But relapse can also be directly connected to mental health.
Oh, for sure. Heck, yeah.
Depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, risky behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Sexual promiscuity, like being a sex addict, things like that.
Yeah.
All of those things
Yeah.
are potential for relapse, right?
Oh, totally.
So I think like when you, at least for me, the questions that I've gotten from people who are interested in what we're talking about and our experiences personally, like how we weathered the storms, it's like, yeah, I think that's what their underlying question is. How do I, if somebody's, I'll just say drinking, my issue with drinking was that like, I thought I was fine, didn't think it was a big deal. So, it's very much in my mind that like I could have a beer right now and I'll be fine, right? But other people maybe don't have that mentality yet. They're maybe still like afraid of alcohol or drugs or whatever. Like I was having a discussion with a friend of mine who's one of his family members is like 7 years sober, but I'm sure that in his mind, it's a daily struggle of like, fuck man, what trigger is going to pop the top?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because for that particular person, I believe complete sobriety is like really the only answer at this point for probably life,
Yeah.
because of that. But I guess so to wrap that up, right? Like how, when these people ask us questions, it's like, when the big things happen is when it's the most important, in my opinion, to, really kind of stack the deck in your favor.
Yeah.
To prevent going back down those roads that if you're paying attention now, you should know where they lead.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of all this. It's like for someone that's still on the job, guys that have reached out to you working in busy departments and stuff. It's like, I hope you're hearing this and saying like what you said earlier is like, it leads to alcoholism. It leads to losing your marriage. It leads to financial problems.
Suicidal thoughts.
So if you don't address these things now, and so it's like so easy to dismiss and a little bit of this resonates, but not that much. So I think like the daily struggle thing, again, back to, hey, things are going to happen, man. There's going to be tragedy in your life. I mean, it's going to be ups and downs, and being able to weather the storm is super important.
Yeah. I mean, it's a simple answer. Oh, work on your mindset. Okay, cool. There's a super blanket answer, right? But it's like, how do you work on your mindset,
Exactly.
And that's the answer is really what you focus on, that's where your brain's going to go. That's what you're going to try to. If you focus on anxiety, you're going to be anxious. If you focus on I don't have anything and you're focused on what you don't have versus what you have, you're going to always be in lack. So it's this is such a deep, it's a life process of training your brain. This is not just, okay, cool, here's one answer. I'm going to get this, SGB shot. I'm going to listen to, this podcast they've been through, and I'm going to try this. And, a question for you. You've gone back to work, right? You had a little more time a few weeks ago. Man, I haven't meditated. I kind of just had a shitty week, right? It's like, well, you're back to work. You've got projects going on. You've got more responsibility. Maybe subconsciously, I think, I'm not really struggling much right now, so I really don't need it because I'm doing okay. I'm pretty busy. But when things slow down, you're kind of like, oh, I kind of got a little more time. I know that's what happened with me. I'm not saying it's you. But when I start getting busy, the same thing happens to me. Oh, I play in a band. I'm going to start teaching at the college. We're doing the podcast. And you get busy with things. And the most important thing that got you out of or to where you wanted to be, sometimes you stop doing that. The sauna works the majority of the time. Is it always great? No, it's always great, but you're doing it. Meditation works. Journaling works. I know it works, not just because we're doing it. That's helped us. It's proven. It's science. It's out there. There's numerous documentation to know it is a real thing. I know that happens to me. I will, when I start to journal, how do I journal? If I'm having a problem getting the correct mindset into journaling, I'll recenter myself. I'll put some, music in, I try, depending where I'm at, what really helps for me is putting earbuds in and noise canceling earbuds, because now I'm really zoned in. Whatever you want to put on will work for you, but I will go with different things at that day that suit my feelings. I might go to Spotify and throw on, birds chirping, something really relaxing, okay? Or I might go on to Spotify and throw on, lo-fi beats. Lo-fi is it's like there's no lyrics. It's just really chill music. I might go on to Spotify and throw on, Zen music, or I go to, whales or whatever. Whatever it is that works for you to calm your mind. And then now you go into a space of like, I'm going to prepare myself because I went through this life challenge that happened today. And if you're not doing this if this is new to you, it's going to take time. And so you have to recenter yourself, calm your brain, and now write out. I mean, I don't want to get into CBT too much because it can get pretty in depth, but what you're trying to do is journal out your thoughts, what's bothering you the most, getting it out of your head, recentering yourself, calming down, and writing out. Maybe you don't have to do this when it happens because it's such a big thing. Give yourself a time to get to it and be like, man, this really, really bothered me today. This happened at work. Whatever challenge it is, write that out on a piece of paper, but imagine how you would feel if that challenge didn't happen. It did, but what you're doing is you're trying to rewire. It's so hard to explain, dude. I'm getting in depth. It's what you're trying to do is you're giving your brain ways to process the challenge and the hardship you're going through, because if it's only in your head, you're going to keep running circles. And like I said, these are all things that I can go in a lot of depth in, and different podcasts we could do. But the purpose is you want to get stuff out of your head onto paper if you can. If you can't, think about it and envision yourself, I'm going to slow myself down and I'm going to recenter my thoughts if that's all it is.
Well, the summary of that is basically, it goes back to kind of some of the stuff we've talked about before, which is like learning how the brain works.
Yeah.
And once you learn that, you get empowered to recognize that, this feeling is directly related to this. This is the sympathetic nervous system kicking in. This is a flood of hormones and adrenaline and epinephrine, or your endocrine system kicking in, right? All these things that if you learn what is going on, you're able to catch it in that moment, check it, change it. Okay, you journal. This person can do yoga. This person can stretch. This person can play music. Whatever, So I think the summary of all of that, right, is just understanding how the brain works. That when stress is introduced, if you revert back to the things you did before, like, you've essentially done all this work for nothing.
Yes.
Because it is literally going to take you back to square one.
And fast.
And that's what I think is really important for people to understand. And so then there's another layer to this when someone has an involuntary reaction to a scenario. And what I mean by that is they participate in something, and then they start to recognize that particular situation brought a bunch of things to the surface that they thought they had dealt with.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
sure.
And that's like you said, we can definitely delve into things like that more with reliving trauma.
Yeah.
The constant, because that's the reality of how our brains work. Like, those memories are not gone. Even when you've processed them through things like CBT or your EMDR or transcranial magnetic resonance or
whatever,
fucking SG, all of it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, it's still a memory in your hard drive, and so it's there. And if you are put back in a similar situation or forced to confront those things, like, it's gonna probably bring it up. So in the fire service, like, that's gonna be very common because you're gonna run calls again that are gonna be similar to things that if that's what your issue is. Like, for instance, we talked to you about yours running a call that was a hanging. having the intimate run-in with suicide that you did, had you still been on the job, like you would have to fortify yourself to be able to deal with that in the future, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think people, when you're listening, whatever it is that you connect with when you hear us talk, it's probably different. But like a sexual assault, for instance, like a story was told to me so this is a wife telling me the story and saying that, she recognized those things because, like, for instance, she had a run-in with something like that in her past, like a long time ago. She'd been married for a long time, and her husband were fucking around wrestling, and he pinned her down. So it grabbed her wrist and pinned her down. Screw around, just wrestling with your wife, teasing. Nothing physical. It's not physical violence. I mean, absolutely not. These people are amazing people, right?
Yeah.
But she had an instantaneous freak out because her brain, that memory was triggered, and her brain took her right back to that moment.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to like say, yeah, hey, well, if you do this, this, and this, that will never happen. I don't know that you can make it never happen.
Yeah.
All I know is that the stuff that we've talked about is you can kind of like know and anticipate that these types of scenarios have the potential to trigger me, and then try to like fortify up against it, but also not fear it.
That's
I think
huge,
that's an
though,
important
dude.
part.
Yeah,
is to be able to go into it with like, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go into this situation and I'm going to feel nervous. I'm going to feel scared. I'm going to feel like I don't have trust. Whatever it is. Like somebody close to me in my family just got into a car accident and someone was killed. And the person that was killed was on a motorcycle. And I know for a fact that like that person in my family now is going to have trepidation about driving.
Yeah.
Well, you got to drive.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just a part of our life now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who would go through something like that who would never drive again.
Yeah.
So when we talk about being ruled by fear, that's the big component, in my opinion, on the daily struggle. It's like, I'm not afraid of pretty much anything when it comes to like the challenges that are going to present themselves. Like, dude, tell me I got liver cancer today. It's going to suck. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm not going to fall apart. I'm still going to fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's easy to say, I get that, but I say it because it fortifies me so that when those things happen, I'm ready to implement that mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So to your point of like mindset, if you're not training yourself daily.
Yep, exactly.
With these simple little things, whether it's the gratitude, whether it's the meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's just having a discussion with your family, setting the phones aside for half an hour to have an intimate conversation with somebody, whatever your best way to train yourself, just like going to the gym.
Yeah.
Like those muscles will atrophy. And then when you are faced with that incredibly difficult news, or you're even faced with something like, let's say, traumatic, like a car accident, or, some kind of crazy situation where you witness something horrific, you won't have a mindset to be able to process that and be able to continue to live your life in a normal manner.
Yeah.
And I think that's the struggle.
No, it is, dude. Like, reliving, it's hard because, and here we are, two guys talking about how we would deal with it as guys. Girls might deal with it, women might deal with it differently. They got different hormones. It's easy for you guys to say that. You guys are the men. What about a woman, And, it's not to say our brains are the brain. Our brain is a brain, though, and what we're trying to, hopefully help with is how to harness or train things that we go through if we relive a trauma that we may not even know that is going to bother us, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whatever. But there was someone in particular that I've talked to that has relived some trauma that wasn't expecting it, and you'll ask certain questions. Well, have you done A, B, C, and D? And I haven't done that. Haven't done that. Haven't done that. So we might relive stuff thinking we took care of it, but we never really took care of it. Right. So we can have all the intentions of, oh, I'm good, but something pops up. Something pops up unexpectedly, and now you're reliving this thing because maybe the tools weren't there for you. You thought you did everything right because of, what you did, because it was the best you could do at that time or the best you've been doing for years. But there might be something that you haven't done, and then it lurks up, and you're like, wow, I didn't really deal with this. It can be numerous things. And I know with a lot of the traumas I've gone through, I've beat a lot of them up so hard, so hard. With CBT, you're writing letters. I was videotaping myself, and you got to do, it's that thing of, how many people are afraid to get in the ocean because of a shark attack? I'm one of them. I hate shark attacks, right? But how many times is a shark attack really going to happen to you, dude? Right. Get in the stinking water, right? Because you're facing a fear. Yeah. Same thing with our brain, right? No matter what trauma we're dealing with, I'm not saying it's easy. There's a process, and there can be a lot of emotional things that come along with that. You got see a doctor, see a therapist, be around the right support group, because it could create a lot of bad thoughts. But the purpose is, if we're reliving something, more than likely, it's okay to relive it if we know how to deal with it. But if we're reliving it and it's like crippling us, then we haven't truly dealt with it when we thought we did. So there's going to be work involved. And that's, if we want the change, then we're going to have to seek out the right people, and we're going to have to, figure out a solution and be like, man, I thought I did, but you know what? I got more work to do. That's fine. That's okay. You're doing great. You're putting forth the effort. You're doing what you got to do. But hey, it's life. Something resurfaced. Let's figure it out. And the ones that are going through that, you're not alone. There's a lot of tools that maybe us as firemen have, that maybe some don't have. And there's of us that have taken all those tools and tried to better ourselves and grow as a person, so we can help ones that maybe don't have those tools. Yeah.
No, it goes back to, I say it all the time, infinite problem. There's no finish line.
Yeah. Yep.
Most of us are going to have these things the rest of our lives.
Exactly.
Whatever it is that, going all the way back to your childhood and how you grew up, and all the things that they say, the roadmap you were drawn when you were 5 years old.
Yep, exactly.
How
Blueprint,
you do
blah,
things,
blah, blah.
everything. It's all legit, and it's just, everything is such a fine balance. It's so tricky that every single day that weight shifts from one side of the seesaw to the other, and that's okay, man. Like, once you embrace and let go of the fear of the shark and get in the fucking water and realize that the shark doesn't really even care that you're there.
Yeah, and you would know.
And you've been in the water with sharks and you just don't even know it.
Yeah.
They've swam under you a bunch of times and you're still sitting here.
Yeah.
It's like, once you get in the water with the shark and you reclaim that sort of, power for yourself, and it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
So it's really easy. I get it. It's not an insult, but it is something that, like, you can start to prepare your mindset daily with these small adjustments, and then facing it over time. You're going to have to look in the mirror and realize, like, where you're at personally and say, do I need professional help? So, like, for me, right, I'm not seeing anybody right now. I'm not seeing therapists. I'm doing all the work on my own.
Yeah.
And I feel fine. I feel good.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that the shark won't come at some point and scare the shit out of me.
Exactly.
And I will, but I know how to swim with sharks. I know how to hit that fucker in the nose. I know how to face it. Pick your analogy, but doesn't mean it won't get me. No, I don't know. It might get a chunk out of me, maybe get whatever. But the point is, it's like, I'm not afraid of the future. I'm not
prepared
afraid. So the anxiety of, like, I need to control the outcome of everything in my life has subsided. It's still there in me as a person. Work ethic is very deep. I want to control the chessboard. I want to know the outcome of the game.
Yep.
Because again, 10 moves ahead, I've already got you beat.
Yep.
The rest of the game is a waste of time. Well, now it's kind of silly, right? So I have accepted that, hey, we'll just see where the winds take me, kind of. But when those things come up, I will deal with them.
Yeah.
And so I think if that helps anybody, great. I mean, I would say start small. Realize, like, because a lot of people too, I think they've dealt with things, and that they're like, oh man, I've done all this work. It's all great. I mean, even you and I talked. I mean, that's why still you want to go get the SGB shot.
Yeah.
Because there's that little tiny bit of extra obstacle that you just haven't been able to surmount yet, right? And me, I was telling you, like, I've been in this weird funk at times in the last few weeks where I'm like, I've thought about it, like, am I not doing enough work? Is it just a weird thing? Is it just, like you said, going back to work and everything? It's like that's a natural thing, a lot of change.
Yeah.
So rather than force the square into the round hole, it's kind of like, all right, I'm just going to kind of but I'm paying attention.
Yes.
You know, and it's like there's going to be a point where I'm going to make a decision and say, okay, I need to do X, Y, Z in order to prevent the slow burn back into old habits.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I think it's so critical that you're paying attention daily when you have this kind of situation that sets you back. Should it be some triggering event that you didn't even see coming? You know, something happens at work, something happens at home, something happens with the family. It's like, you know, understand that pushing forward, you know, getting up every day, trying to be grateful for something, setting intentions, all of these things are uber critical to not allowing that to swallow you up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, there's something I always say, the blueprint. You know, we ain't got so much time, but we all, sometimes the anxiety, the depression, or, you know, sometimes things we struggle with, you know, we all, like you said, childhood, but we have a blueprint of how maybe we think life should go. You know, if you're a guy, you want to have a good job, you want to take care of a family, you want to do, you know, all these things. If it's a blueprint we were taught from school of, you know, get a house, get married, get a good job, get a retirement. There's a blueprint that we're taught at a young age, and if it doesn't go down that blueprint, oh, I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough. Whatever you're trying to tell yourself. As a girl, there's a blueprint. Oh, I got to do A, B, C, and D, and I got to look this way because of this, and I got to be treated this way, and I got to live in this house. I got to have a house by this time. I got to be married by this time. I got to have this many kids. There's blueprint. But, you know, like you said, we can't control everything. Let things go. We all want to live in the known. I'm not saying trauma is real, obviously. You know, trauma is a real thing. Dealing with all this is a real thing. But the more we tend to let go and accept, and it's so cliche, man. Oh, enjoy the journey. It's all a journey, you know. But really, it's like when you went on your hike the other day, you could plan everything for that hike, but you're dealing with Mother Nature. Something might happen. There could be a bear. There could be a mountain lion. There could be bad weather out of nowhere. There could be, you know, maybe the creek crossing is a little bit different than you thought. Maybe you slipped and fell. Maybe you could have came out with a broken leg. Maybe you came out with a broken arm. You don't know how it's going to go. You prepare as much as you can. There's a lot of factors that can happen, but you came home from the hike more than likely. How it was going to happen, healthy, had a great time, got some good photos, get to tell a great story. That's a great blueprint, right? That's what you want to happen. The same thing happens in life. We don't want to have the trauma. We don't want to have all these bad things are going to happen. But when they do, we have to deal with them the best we can, go get the right support, go put the work in, and then daily, just like our diet, eat healthy, drink water. If you're super thirsty, are you going to, you know, some people, I'm going to go drink some soda, but you know, eventually you need some water, right? So it's up to us to set up our day for success. We all know that. It sounds so cliche, but if we go and do a test as a fireman, go to a job interview, if we truly want that job, we're going to prepare for that interview so we can come out pretty good for it. Or if we're taking a test, we're not going to go and do a test, you know, and just willy-nilly it. Maybe you do, and you do good if you kind of know the subject pretty well, but we prepare, we study for the test. As this podcast wraps up, that's what we're talking about is our daily test, our daily challenges. We're just trying to give examples, ideas of how to daily pass the test, the challenges, whatever word you want to come up, of life. And not one size fits all, but I think we've talked about a lot of pretty cool things of how to overcome your personal tests of your daily challenges. Maybe if you're reliving trauma or have gone through something new or haven't heard of these tools before, you know, we're just throwing stuff out that can hopefully help you know, you guys individually. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I tell anybody that asks me, it's like, hey man, welcome the change.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Don't be afraid of the challenges. Don't be afraid of the adversity. You know, don't be afraid to change your blueprint. You know, that, like I said, map at birth, blueprint, whatever. So you go on that hike and it's not going your way, like figure it out, man.
Exactly.
And then the way you figure it out is you train. And so for firefighters, it's like, dude, you train for 1,000 different scenarios. You should be able to go from A to B, B to Z, Z back to W, W to M. I mean, we're able to go forward, backwards, expand, contract, whatever we're supposed to do to deal with whatever we're facing.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing in the daily routines and
Yep.
the daily struggles that you're
Yeah.
inevitably going to face.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no, life is life, man. You can prepare all, but life is just, there's really sometimes no answer. It's just, you're just going and figuring it out as you go. And I remember, the older I get too, but being younger, you think, one's older than you, have it all figured out. Nah. The more things you go through, yeah, the wiser you get, but we're all figuring it out, man, but anyways, so anything else you got?
No, we're good on that
Cool.
one.
Yeah,
like hopefully, I mean, that's a tiny bit on a very, very broad, big subject, but
Yeah.
I know it's just coming from my experience. It's like, I've noticed since I got home from the Center of Excellence, right? Like, it's just a daily thing, and I've just kind of almost made it into a game with myself of a training opportunity every day.
Yeah, for sure.
My story about being in the coffee shop, your story about meeting the man at the grocery store. Those are those little silly stories, but if you really pay attention to those things, there's a lot in there that show you that, because that's the reinforcement to me that, like, cool, I'm at least walking the path the right way.
Yeah.
I'm not always perfect. Every day doesn't go, like, the intention isn't met every day. The sauna isn't perfect every day, and nothing is perfect every day.
Exactly.
But I get up in the morning, and I'm going to try hard again. And I recognize that at any moment, something could happen that could derail a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to let that set me back on the path I was on before.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I've already seen what happens at the end of that path.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So. And then you want to set, we go off, a lot of us, we make decisions off of emotion, it's how we are. But, try to set something, when you're setting your intention and you're trying to overcome something, set a good feeling with the outcome you want, even if it's hard work. Imagine what it's going to feel like once that's accomplished or once you've overcome it. It's going to be a good feeling. Focus on that. No matter how hard it gets, really focus on the feeling of you accomplishing what you said you were going to accomplish. And that's where a lot of depression can come from and stuff, because you're not sticking to your own word. Yeah, man. No, I think it was great, dude.
Yep.
So epadgettcoaching@gmail.com. Shane's is
RICfirecaptain@gmail.com.
awesome. And if you guys can leave a comment, rate it if you guys want to, and we'll see you guys on the next one.